Hello, everyone. We were just having a dance party. We are like loving the 60-second countdown at the beginning of these. I really like that. It's gonna be in my head now, like all night though. But anyway, welcome back to another episode of the Social Selling Sisterhood podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, though, you are getting the live podcast. So congratulations, you get to see our beautiful faces. That's right. So I am Lindsay Dollinger, and I have the pleasure today of interviewing my friend and a fellow, we're both in the same mastermind together. I don't know, a fellow masterminder,
Yes, we
Caz
are.
Gaddis. And I just met Caz this year, but I absolutely love her energy. She has been in direct sales before, so she has that background to share with us as well. She's a personal power coach, and she is here to talk to us about wrapping up our 2020, our vision for 2021, and just getting our mindset in all the right places. So if that sounds right, Caz, if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick intro of you, and we will get started.
Yeah, for sure. You guys missed part of it, but you guys saw the end of it. I was like totally jamming out. Like I was like, yeah.
It's like the perfect pump up.
Yeah, seriously, it reminds me of, so when I used to be, now I'll get into like who I am officially, but if you guys are in network marketing or in direct sales in general, if you've ever been to one of the live events where they have like the music and then the people come on stage, I was just like feeling that energy, feeling that.
Yeah.
It was so real, and it is so real for a lot of us, right? It looks a little bit different this year, and we'll definitely talk more about this year in just a moment. So yeah, so I'm Caz Gaddis. I like jamming out to cool music, and I'm super grateful to be here with you guys today. So I am a personal power coach, and what that means is I help people, I help moms as well with their overall energy leadership. What does that mean? I know. So what that means is, how are you showing up to life? How are you reacting or interacting with life, especially in this area of your own business? Whoever says business is not personal, it's just like cool for them. But business is totally personal, especially in direct sales and network marketing overall. It's a balance of all the things. And so I'm here to chat with you guys today. If you have any questions or comments, I will definitely review them as well later, or Lindsay can let me know. I want us to have a real conversation on all the things, because mindset is always everything, but it's especially everything when it comes to being in this industry and really showing up with the energy that you want so you can have a successful business, versus showing up in the energy that you don't even realize you're showing up with, and then you're wondering why things aren't matching up, right? So I've been there, done that. I got the t-shirt. So yeah, so I'm here to support you guys and excited. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for having me on.
Absolutely. I am like pumped for our conversation. Like I said, guys, Caz's energy is phenomenal. And in all of our mentorship calls, honestly, I could be talking one-on-one with Caz just because she gives me so much good advice. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Or she will pull out things from me that I'm like, actually, yes, that is what I was going for, or that is what I am missing. So I really hope you guys enjoy our conversation today.
Yay, awesome. Yeah, definitely. And just a little FYI, all of us are dealing with this anyway, with COVID and all the things. But in case you hear something that sounds like a little wild animal, I have two kids under 2.5-year-olds, 2.5, you know what I mean? They're under 2.5 years of age. They're with my husband, so they're not like, in the wild, but they sound like they are. So in case you hear that, you're welcome.
Hey, no worries. I have a dog, so she might be all crazy too. She's sitting over here next to me right now, like, really, Mom? Like, you're doing another one of these. What is happening? I totally get that. So, Caz, tell us how you became a personal power coach. Like, how did that even happen?
Yeah, so a lot of failing up. And I say that because I think it's important to talk a little bit about, we talked a little bit beforehand to talk about my background in network marketing and kind of how all that came to be. And so a super succinct way of sharing all that is that I was married with no job. Like I literally just got married and I had no job coming into the marriage. So I was like, well, this is really great. Setting up myself for success in this situation. For me, the reason I share that is right in the midst of that happening, I also quit my first master's. And so I was already feeling like a failure. And then on top of that, I didn't even have a job at the time. I got one eventually with Starbucks and I was like a manager or whatever. But I share that because there's times and seasons when we're just kind of here floating like a snow globe with the snowflakes, and you're wondering like what is what, and that is okay. It's in that space that things actually start falling into place, even though it may feel like it's falling apart. And also it's in that space that you have the ultimate, like, awesome, empowering power of choice. We always have choice, but in those moments where things just don't feel like they make sense at all, you get to make sense of them. And it feels like more sense than in like the everyday when things are like feeling good and like, you know, what's going on with yourself, who you're being, and what's going on with all the things. And so I share that because network marketing and direct sales became the thing that I invested into, because I knew that I didn't want to just be at a 9-to-5 job. And so I decided that I needed to like put all of my energy into that. Right. And we could totally have a separate podcast, separate conversation on that. I will say that I learned over the years to look at my job, when I did have one during that time, to look at it as my investor into what I was creating with my business. And for the beginning of it, though, I did not have a job. I really did pour all of me into that. And it was one of those things where I went into really deep depression. The first time was because I wish someone would have stopped me on the street and then grab me by the shoulders and be like, hey, this is your purpose. Just go do this. Right? Like, how many times do we just wish like, okay, we'll do whatever it is, but someone tell me what it is. Like, I don't even know where I'm going. And so there was a lot of that. And when I went into direct sales and network marketing in general, oh my gosh, like, anybody here still have like cassettes or CDs and like the big albums of all the personal development stuff you can get when you go to all the trainings? Like, my life, listening to those people in the spaces of like, you know, I would get out, talk to a potential client, do whatever it was that my product did, or talk to them and whatever about the business. I would get in my car and pray that I had enough gas to get home, listen to the CD, and just like barely, I wish I had wipers for my eyes. It was some really dark times. And from that, I started looking at like, what do I want for myself? Who am I going to be? What is my ideal day going to be like? So I started envisioning what I wanted. Now, it took some time because everything takes some time, but that's how I got here today in the most succinct-ish way that I can share that. In between that, I did finish a different master's. I have a master's in social media marketing. I worked for one of the largest social media platforms. It rhymes with book. And I did my own consultancy for a little bit. And then I got into this space where you just you don't need to, you can choose to follow and listen to your intuition. Even when you feel like you're being a failure, you're not. You're listening and it's guiding you forward. And so that landed me into what I do now. So since 2017, I've been in personal development. And it's been an adventure, still continues to be. But that's how I'm showing up now. It's doing it in like with the fear, right? The fear doesn't go away. It becomes adrenaline. It becomes a moving force. And so anyways, that's my life.
I love that. I love that. I didn't realize how many parallels we had in our story, because prior to network marketing, if someone would have told me to read personal development book or listen to it, I would have been like that's woo woo, like that's weird. And I got into network marketing right after my mom passed away. And I also was experiencing depression, and I felt like no one really got me, and I needed, something. And I really fell into not only my team, but also personal development. And now I can't even imagine, not listening to podcasts or not reading inspirational things. I wonder if you have any tips for people who are kind of like where we were prior, because I don't think you necessarily have to be in depression to start doing the personal development, but what are some things? Because I hear a lot from people on my team, people in our group right now that are like, well, I don't need personal development. I don't have time for it. What would you say to that?
Yeah. So we have time for what we make time, right? So that's the first thing. And I don't mean that with any judgment. It's just truly like, you could have something that's super pressing that you really need to get done. And then you still find a way to procrastinate and like, be like, ooh, sparkle, right? So you still make time for the other things that are more fun, and like the squirrel gets to entertain you. And the other piece about it is everything is personal development. Every failure actually gives you more success in a way, more lessons, more substance than the successes. So anything that you go through every single day, you're working on who it is that you're developing into, because we're ever changing. So I totally get the whole woo thing. I came from a background that was much more corporate. My original background, amidst all the things I mentioned, was higher ed administration. So I was in that for 7+ years. And so with that, everything was much more structured, more, on the professional, like, this is how it is. And then as I grew into personal development, I realized, like, I don't need the boxes. I create my space. And so I would say just lean into it without the judgment of what it means about you. Sometimes we feel that we maybe are broken or something has to be fixed. Doesn't mean anything has to be fixed. You're just working on the next bestest version of you. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with who you're being now, but you also don't know what the future holds. And so you get to, like, be an active participant in your life.
I love that. Yeah, that's so good. I love that you don't have to be broken to improve yourself. Because I think that is a very false thought that we can have from time to time, is like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but you could always get better.
Right. And then there's this other piece to it too. Like you mentioned, like what kind of tips or that kind of thing. And so, so definitely you don't have to be broken. You don't have to, it's not necessarily that there's anything wrong now. But it's also just, as you think of whatever your thing is that's coming up for you, whether it is time, because that can be very real. It can feel super real, especially depending on your commitments with work. If you have fur babies, if you have kid babies, whatever, other babies. And so there's all these other pieces to it, but really looking at what's behind that. Because there was a time that it could potentially have been a self-worth thing. I've talked to some people lately where, we're all looking and positioning ourselves for the next year. And some people literally told me they're afraid of getting excited about the next year because of what this year has been.
Ooh.
And that's deep and heavy, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like, like you're now.
Oh no, I think we lost her. Caz, come back. We were just getting in the good stuff.
So that was super awesome. My computer.
Okay, we will be right back on. Actually, she might be able to hop back onto this. I'll just wait and see. While we are waiting in the interim, so I'm going to make sure to talk to Caz about, oh, she might be back. I do not know. We will see. She might message me. I'm going to make sure to talk to Caz about mindset tips, about what she was getting ready to chat with us about with the not being afraid to go ahead and create big goals and dreams for yourself in 2021, because I think that is really huge. I've heard a lot that people want to just write off 2020, but I know a lot of people who have had really amazing years in 2020. But I know, like myself, I've been able to spend a lot more time with my business. There have been a lot more people online because it has been a year of online, right? We have been doing a lot of stuff online because we've been doing a lot of stuff at home. It's also been a year for extreme growth for me because I know I have, used Zoom way more than I ever had in the past. I've been able to, play around with different things. I was able to start a podcast in 2020. So now we're back with Caz.
Hi guys, you like that?
I was like, she can make herself disappear. I was like, this is getting to the really deep part, and then she like bounces out. She's like, okay, peace.
That was me virtually dropping the mic.
Peace out, everyone.
No. To drop this one. So I was just like, you know what? But I did want to share about that. So that was really funny and so perfect because we're talking about 2020, right? We're talking about how 2020
Yes.
has been like this craziness, right? And so then I'm just like, I put out of the broadcast. Here's the thing. So in that example, I had the option of freaking out and of being like, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure. I can't even charge my laptop correctly, right? Or all these different things. Or like I messaged you and I'm like, hee, I'll be right there. And I grabbed into the energy, right? I plugged into the source that feeds my computer, and then I was able to come back in. And there wasn't any judgment for that. I know that sounds super deep for just having like misplugged my computer, but we were talking about this year and what it's been. And it truly is one of those things of like, do you want to be that computer that then no longer feels like it has power and it's just like, okay, cool, I'm just like Eeyore, I'm going to shut down, right? Or am I going to plug back into what I need to and who I need to be surrounded by in order to grow my business, grow myself, and move forward from this year while also being grateful and taking the lessons that were possible in that, you know? So anyway.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's perfect. I mean, that's really perfect. I was just saying while we were waiting for you to hop back on that while 2020 has definitely been a year of challenges for everyone, there are also like, I count my blessings that I was able to really grow my business. I was able to hop on more of my mastermind calls that I invested in, Zoom. I started my podcast, like all these things that you can be grateful for even in times of challenge or times when would I rather have been traveling like I was supposed to have been? Maybe, but everything happens in its place, I feel like. And I think that's just like a perfect example for that.
Well, and again, too, depends on those of you listening in or watching in as we are live. It depends on how your business has been too, right? So when your business is going good, it's so easy to show up. And when your business is not going good, it's so easy to like go inward and also not be that nice to yourself. And so what I've learned while I was in network marketing and what helped me before I even knew what energy leadership was any time that I felt like I went deep into like, what am I even doing? Look how much I've invested in product, or look at all the things like, who am I? No one wants to buy from me. Someone wants a return. How dare they? Like all these different things, depending on what's going on. Like, why don't they want to join my team? I started realizing that when I went into that space, I was getting too much into myself versus serving.
Yeah.
And it was serving and looking at, okay, like how can I support them? Or you know what, that's just where they are. Let me keep going. And eventually, if it makes sense for them, they'll come in, versus hyper focusing on like what's not working. Who I was being was different. And therefore I actually attracted more of what I wanted without even going into like the woo of like law of attraction and that kind of thing. But truly like, who are you being? Because people can feel it. All of us have been there where someone tries to sell us something. You're just like, I don't know you, but I don't really like, something feels off. When we feel stressed, that something that's off is being emitted. It's being shown to other people without us even realizing it, you know?
Yeah, I totally I can see it way more now than I feel like I used to be able to, or like I can sense it. Do you have any tips for us? So like when we're starting to get in our head and we're starting to be like, I'm not good enough. This business isn't for me. I shouldn't have signed up. I'm too old. I hear a lot. I'm too old to do that, or I'm too young to do that, or I don't know how to do, what are some things that we can do to kind of like realign ourselves and bring our energy back?
Yeah, there's a few different things that we can look at with that. So in general, the easiest way to look at it is like, so there are truths in life, right? Like there's certain things like there's gravity. No one's made that up. Like it's real, right? And then there's things that we make up in our head because of our story, because of our past. And those can kind of be sometimes things that limit us, or just, again, our own experience and like the truth for us. So a lot of times in our head, we make like this whole other layer to that, where you see yourself some way, but then like a whole different way. Or like whatever it is that you see of yourself that you're just like, oh my gosh, like about me, someone else is like, I've never even thought you would have that thought because I see you as this. So what I mean with that is whenever you have thoughts like that, what I invite you to do is two things. One, and I remember doing this before when I was going through my year-long coaching certification, they had us do this, which was call or text 3 close friends, 3 loved ones, and ask them what they see in you, like what what qualities, what are they thankful for, what inspires them about you. And all like for you to say back is just thank you. And whether they tell you that or they text that back to you, receiving that allows you to receive, if you choose again, that different perspective from someone else. And maybe even gives you something new that you didn't even know that someone else saw in you. So that's one quick way to get a pep in your step when you're feeling like the feels, right? Or you're just like uncertain. And then the other thing is, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with a Venn diagram. I kind of wish this Apple Pencil could draw like really cool. That's gonna be like level StreamYard next year. And so if you guys know a Venn diagram, it's like two circles that come together and there's like the middle area. And so when you think of that, on the left side, so I'm going to draw one really quick so I can like, I'm a visual learner and shower. So when you have a Venn diagram, if you use the left side and look at like what you, your truth, your thoughts, whatever those things are, and just like brainstorm them down into that left side of the circle. Then I want you to look at on the right-hand side, like what is the other person, for example, if there's someone else involved, what are they saying about this? Or what is the situation telling you? So for example, maybe you feel like, you're just not meeting your numbers, right? And so I'm writing that down for the example. So you're not meeting your numbers. That's on the left-hand side. And that's making you feel like, you know what, like you're just a failure. And so on the right-hand circle, right, all the way to the right, what is going on for you? Well, what is your portal telling you from your dashboard? Or what are clients telling you that maybe not right now? So you make that into, again, being that you're just being a failure. But the middle part is like the fact, it's the truth. It's like, it is what it is piece. And so the middle is maybe for them, they had something going on. The client had some sort of other financial situation or like their dog's sick and they're just not being able to focus. And then for you, okay, cool. Like your numbers may not be that awesome right now, but when you look at where you were 3 months ago, you're like 30% higher in sales than you were. Yeah. So when you get out of like the focus of like right now and you start looking at it from other perspectives, from the other people, from like the facts, then you get a different story that you get to tell yourself.
I like that a lot. Yeah, I know we're just harder on ourselves than anyone else is, especially when I know for me as a leader, I want to show up big for my team, or I want to be hitting that next, that next rank or that next goal. And if you don't hit it, it can be really like devastating. You can be really hard on yourself, but then my sales are still better, especially like from a year ago, look how much I've grown. So that's a really good comparison. I like that a lot. Those visuals are really good.
Yeah. And then when you're looking at the right now, if things aren't lining up how you want them to be, if you're not feeling as awesome as you want to be, if your team, if your business, whatever it is, if it's not where you want it to be, know that it has nothing necessarily to do with right now. It has to do with the last 2, 3, 6 months before now. And so knowing that what you're doing now is sowing into the ground what you'll have in the next few months. It's like right now is the time to make that change so that you can experience and have and be all the things that you want in the future.
Yes. Love that. I always say your vibe attracts your tribe, and it might not be today, you're planting your seeds, but they will come. If you're showing up and you're putting out the right kind of energy, they will definitely come to you.
Yeah.
So looking ahead to 2021, I know you're all things vision board, and vision board has kind of been like a hot topic the past couple years. Explain to us a little bit about why we need a vision board, but why we don't just need the vision board part of it.
Yeah. So this is like, so I have a product that just came out. It's called Vision Board in a Box. And even on there, I say vision boards don't work. And people are like, that's weird. Like they first come to the landing page and it says that. And it's the thing is that like, they truly don't work if you don't work on your inner work and then the outer plan. Right. So it's super nice. And it could be super fun to like get together with some girlfriends, maybe even Zoom, have some wine, cheese, whatever, and then put really cool images on a board. That's awesome. But it takes so much more. So there's this thing called the range of engagement when it comes to your energy leadership. And there may be things that you need to do or you feel like you have to do, but that doesn't carry very awesome energy. That doesn't make you want to do them, right? Like if it's something you have to do, you're like, I have to do this. But obviously it's been waiting for a while like it hasn't gone much further. And then you start going into like, you know what, I want to do this. That's a different energy. There's more power of choice in that. There's more like, I get to do this. And then there's, I choose to do this, which is like the highest range of engagement with that, with whatever it is that you're needing to do or whatever. The reason I share that is that sometimes we put things on the vision board, but have we really asked ourselves, is that something I really want to pursue and I want to invest and actually become the person that then gets this? Versus, this looks nice, you know, but are you willing to do the things that it takes to make that rank? Are you willing to step into things that you haven't really felt comfortable experiencing? Maybe it is personal development, right? Maybe it is downloading the app and finally trying a podcast or whatever it is for you. And so yeah, so there's those pieces to it. And then looking at the plan versus, I think sometimes we overcomplicate things very much, and really looking at it from a space of like, okay, this is what I want, but what does it take? What are the small steps in order to get to that place versus all of this has to be done right now? Like, no wonder then you get like analysis by paralysis and you do nothing. I mean, I'm talking to myself with that. Like, I've totally been there. And so having a space where you, yes, can envision, but also think about like, who do you need to become truly? Like, what characteristics do you need to have in order to have these things? And also, do you even believe that it's possible and that you're worthy? Because if you don't believe it's possible for you, and if you don't believe you're worthy enough to have those things, again, it's just to stay an image on a board or from a cutout magazine that you have on the table.
Oh, that's deep. Okay, now I'm thinking about selfishly myself as a leader of a team of women. Do you have any tips?
No, you just said for a team, right? So you're thinking for you, but then you disperse that. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, how can I help my team with that belief? Because like, I know the success that is possible. I know, the financial freedom that comes with this. I know all the joy I get from working with my wonderful team of ladies. But if it's someone who maybe hasn't sponsored anyone yet or just getting started, is there any way that I can... Oh, my Siri just came on. Of course. Is there any way?
It happens to me too.
Does it? Like, I'm like, what is happening? I definitely did not say that word.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Gotta love technology tonight. But is there anything that you can say to me or any other leaders to help us with our team and that belief and that mindset?
Yeah, the simplest question I can think of asking in that, whether it's you asking them or them asking themselves, I even ask myself that when I feel just overwhelmed in the day. And I ask myself or my clients, what is the next best thing? Like truly with whatever the goal is or whatever, if you guys are working on a certain rank together or a certain amount of orders or whatever, what is the next best thing to either get them there or to give them a break so then they come back to it? Sometimes we just need to step away and the permission to step away and be like, you know what, this is the next best thing for me. Because if I actually take this 2-hour nap because I've burnt myself out so much or whatever it is, then they can come back different. So truly it's case by case, right? Like what is the next best thing for you? And then it's like the whole like elephant thing. You bite, it's such a weird metaphor, but like the whole like, one bite at a time with an elephant, because apparently that's what's like for dinner. And so it's like that one next thing, like what is that next thing? And then once you do that, what is the next thing after that? That would be the one question that I would start off with. And then it's looking at, so I also asked this, but this can totally be a thing. So real. I had like 10 conversations with myself just now. I'm like, what would best benefit in the situation? So a lot of times, I've been here very intimately too. We're afraid of success and we're afraid of failing. So like you just hover. And so really asking like, what do you really want? Right? Or like, what do you really not want? And what's behind that? And that can be a real conversation. I'm not just trying to be like super coachy. I'm like, well, how does that make you feel? Like, it's not even, it's like, what do you really want? Because if you want this, then I can help you with that, right? You have a team, you have resources, there's these calls, like all the personal development and product and all the things that there are available for us when we're in this industry. But then there's like behind that, there's like, So I've coached moms, like my mostly coach moms, and with the energy leadership, and then if they're in their business and that kind of thing. And the thing that comes up, or has come up quite a bit this year actually, has been this fear of, if I'm too successful, then I'm not a good mom. Right? So sometimes we hold success and equaling that or not reaching that to something else, right? Sometimes it could just be feeling guilt that we may become more successful than our parents. Or it could be that we didn't follow the degree the set way that we were supposed to. And so we're just like, well, I don't know if like I should be successful because I didn't listen to my advisor or my family member, whatever. So there can be like super interesting pieces behind that. And then once you get through that, sometimes it could be as easy as time management, right? Or prioritizing. It can be either area of the spectrum, but that could be behind it, and to be able to help your team looking at those more.
I love that. I love asking the more personal questions, because I think sometimes, especially as our team gets bigger, I'm like, oh, well, I checked in with them in a Facebook Messenger, chat, but just having those one-on-one conversations, like to get down to that why, because I think the fear of success for me especially was one of the really big things that was holding me back. That and the thought that like, okay, you go to high school, you go to college, you get your degree, you get a job that has a retirement and like all the things. And while I still have that, getting over that being judged for being in direct sales, for building a business online, was definitely something that held me back in the beginning, for sure.
Right. And did you know that at first? Did you know that was there?
No, not at all.
Right. And so the quicker we can get to those things, and that's like the energy piece of it, the quicker we can get to what we're actually thinking versus what we're telling ourselves to do, and then we're wondering what we're not doing it, the more streamlined then we can be towards, again, what it is that we want and like who we want to be in that situation for ourselves and for those around us. So yeah, it's like the sooner you can just like just dive into the things that don't feel comfortable, it could be more comfortable than afterwards.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I want to be mindful of your time. Do you have any last, tips, tricks, just motivation for us as we are ending 2020, getting ready to start 2021? And then afterward, I'll ask how everyone can find you.
Yeah. So one thing that I've been talking a lot to my community about right now is the whole kind of a term I put together, but being gratefully ambitious. I feel like if you are in a job, or if you're doing this part-time, full-time, whatever that looks like for your space, there's sometimes people who mean well, and they tell us that, we should just be grateful, or in the season of gratitude, right? We may just feel like, oh, we should be grateful. We shouldn't try to like ask for more. Like that's, I had a couple of jobs that were like, oh, you should be grateful with what you have. Don't ask. And it's this mix of, in the season that you're in, totally be grateful for what you want to be grateful for, even the stuff that wasn't super awesome, because it's bringing you, it's pushing you, it's doing whatever it is to get you to your next space. And then be open to being ambitious about it. Like, what do you want next? What do you want more of? And it's okay to receive that. And so having that space as we go into the holiday season, or, we start wrapping it up, depending on when you're listening to this. And then looking at, okay, cool. Like now that that's all there, like what's my next best thing? And really looking at it from that space, I think that it can allow you to look at all the areas of your life and then be like, all right, now what? Right? It allows you to close one year or close one season if you're, again, listening to this later into the next year. And then it allows you to take in the next step into the next season, the next quarter, whatever that is for you. So that would be my number one thing, is to like, whatever's been is been, and now you get to make your new thing. And so looking at that, whether it's a new month in the business or a new year, and going into that. The other thing I was going to mention, and I don't know if it's okay to mention it, but here I go, is that if you guys decide to get a vision board in a box, Lindsay has a cool bonus in there. And there's some other people that are also throwing in some fun stuff for business and for personal. And that might be a really good thing to support you in your next as well. So
I am pumped. Yeah, I'm really pumped. I love vision boards, and even taking it one step further, because I know I've made 2 like official, like, vision boards. One of them, a lot of stuff came true on actually. The other one, not so much. So I'm like, I need to like hone in on what I'm doing and the energy that I'm getting from them. And just, I mean, I am woo-woo now. I didn't used to be, but like manifesting the crap out of that because like it is happening. Like I'm putting my stuff on that board and it's, you know, it's gonna go down, whether it's in 2021 or whether it's 5 years in the future. But yeah, I'm really pumped about the vision board in a box. That's going to be really great. And it's so funny. I don't know if you can see my shirt. My shirt says unapologetically ambitious.
I love that. It's
So
like we planned it. We didn't. But that's amazing.
yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny I mean, that's not exactly what you were terming, but being gratefully ambitious. I absolutely love that because I think a lot of times as women, we can get pegged negatively for being ambitious.
Yeah.
And that's a huge stereotype that I know I am working to change. And I'm very glad to hear that you are as well.
Yeah. And you do that with every single moment that you're grateful. And you also look for like what's next, what's more for you there. You do that in every single one of those steps for sure.
Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, Caz, how can everyone find you, connect with you? And then guys, I will put all this in the show notes as well. So don't worry about having to write anything down, but fill us in.
Yeah, the easiest way is just to go to cazgaddis.com. In there, I have all the social connections and all that stuff. And then I have like a Facebook page and they can kind of go from there. Same thing, facebook.com/Caz Gaddis and get connected. And of course, I'm here and happy to support whoever needs it and wants to chat further. And then if you're a mom, there is a private Facebook group where we go further into this stuff as well. But again, I love everybody.
Yeah. We'll definitely make sure I'll make sure I share with all my women on my team too, because we have lots of mamas on there that I know could benefit a lot from your free group, just like I have. So
yeah. Thank you so much
awesome.
for having the space to be able to share, because it's also one of those things like, again, like direct sales can be so very personal. And it's like, how do you grow yourself as a person as you're also working your business that's personal? So appreciate it.
Absolutely. And like we've mentioned before, and kind of all that we do in like this podcast, and I'm just trying to legitimize the industry even more than it already is, because everyone who is listening, most of them are moms, not all of them, but you know, they're really hardworking. Lots of people have a full-time job in addition to building their direct sales business. So I know they're just going to get a lot from all the energy that you have shared.
Thank you. And for sure, I hope so. I have one more thing that just came to me that I feel like would be good to share. It may sound kind of random, but if you are a mom and you're listening or watching this, even if you're not, because this happened to me when I wasn't. Side note, I also never wanted kids, but that's a whole different conversation. And so the reason I share that is because it's not just like, life is what you make of it. And I remember about 4 or 5 years ago when I left all the other businesses I had, I remember being in the shower and being super dramatic about it. You know, like when you need a really good cry.
Yeah.
So I was in the shower, the water was hitting me. And I started crying and then laughing like a crazy person, like I was Joker. And I was laughing because I was like, oh, that's funny. I'm crying, but nobody could tell because like there's water on me. Right? It was weird. And then the next thought that hit me was this voice. And it was just like, how dare you be so irresponsible to start your own business, and you could have jeopardized your kids' future and their well-being. I didn't even have kids at the time. Why am I sharing that? Because there's times when you're in this business, there's times when you're in whatever space and other business you might have or will have in the future, where you might hear a voice inside of you that's not you, that is telling you to stop something when you're so close to your next. And so if anything that you take from this interview, I hope that you take this space and just know, A, you're not alone. You're not crazy. If you've got an idea, it was meant for you, right? And just like, do it unapologetically, do it scared, and know that you're not being irresponsible, because what you're doing is you're creating opportunity and you're creating something out of the box. So yeah, that's all.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for your time, Caz. Everyone, make sure you check out all that Caz has to offer, connect with her. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.